What's up guys, my name's Zane, welcome to the channel. So last weekend, the Pokemon Company held the first Grand Challenge of the season. And being a competitive player, we pretty much had no choice but to compete. Trust me, if I could have sat this one out, I would have. So, for those of you that are new here, this year I decided to play through Pokemon's competitive VGC circuit. Traveling to events, trying to earn CP to get my invite for the Pokemon World Championships. Which means that we need to rank in the top 75 players in North America based on CP. And Grand Challenges are one of those ways that players can earn CP throughout the season. Before coming into this event, we're currently sitting at 146 CP and ranked 104th as of recording this video, putting us just shy of the benchmark, which means that we gotta perform pretty well if we wanna sneak into the top 75. So what's a Grand Challenge, you might be asking? A Grand Challenge is an online competition that you play in-game on either Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet. You play in a best-of-1 closed team sheet format where you pair against random trainers competing for ELO. Every time you win, your ELO goes up, and every time you lose, your ELO goes down. It's a basic ladder system. Throughout the weekend, you're allowed to play up to 45 games, but you only get 15 games unlocked per day. So on Thursday at 8 p.m., you're allowed to start playing, but you only get 15 games until Friday at 8 p.m., where you get 15 more games, and then so on. And that goes on until Sunday at 8 p.m., where you're no longer to play any more games and the competition closes. If you happen to not play all your games on a specific day, it's not a big deal because those games will carry over to the next day. Meaning that if you really wanted to, you could just wait until Sunday and then bang out all 45 of your games at once. Depending on your ELO at the end of the tournament, you get a rank, and based on that rank, you can get CP. The higher your rank, the more CP. So of course, the big question, as always, is how did I do? Honestly, not that great. I started off pretty strong in the first couple of days, and based on my highest ELO, I maybe could have been able to earn some CP. But spoiler alert, I did not earn CP this time around. My strategy was to play only 5 games at a time to make sure that I was fresh anytime I queued up for a game. And starting on the Thursday when the competition opened, I was doing pretty good despite not feeling the best. I was hanging out with the boys on Discord, wearing an undershirt with the deepest V-neck you've ever seen, and just getting my 5 games in. Ask me if I was wearing any pants. Of course I was, dude. What the heck is wrong with you? Get your mind out of the gutter, man. Get your mind out of the gutter. I played the rest of my day 1 games on Friday, went like 11-4, and ended around like 1580 ELO, which is pretty good. Day 2, I had a very similar strategy. I played my first 5 games on Friday night, and then finished off the rest of the games on Saturday morning. I went either 10-5 or 9-6 in these set of games, which is a little bit worse, but still not too bad. We ended the second day around 1640 ELO, which is pretty good. And then I got absolutely rolled on the last day. Yo, I'm talking like we got bent over, fertilized, spanked. The bruising, I'm not going to show you guys, but just take my word for it, all right? It's not good. Honestly though, I'm not too upset. The GC came the weekend after Baltimore, which I spent a lot of time preparing for. And when I got back, I ended up getting really sick. That meant that I didn't really have a lot of time to prepare for the event, but as I said before, as a competitive player, I really had no choice but to play in it. So I ended up locking in the exact same team from Baltimore without making any changes. I was still pretty sick throughout the entire weekend, which made it really hard to play optimally. At the very least, this event was a very good learning experience, and I'm going to go over some of the key things that I learned throughout playing this last weekend. The GCs test very different skills from the regular best of 3 open team sheet events. So when going into a GC, you need to prepare just as much as you would for a League Cup or even a regional. I thought that just because my team performed well at Baltimore that it would perform well in the GC, but that's not how it works at all. Because the differences in the format, although don't seem that big, are huge when it comes to how the game actually plays out. First, the obvious. You're heavily rewarded for playing unorthodox teams in Pokemon. If someone doesn't know what a specific Pokemon on your team does, it's very hard to play around it properly. Knowing the moves and abilities of your opponent's Pokemon can give you a huge hint for what your opponent's up to. A lot of my friends that performed well in the GC did so using very weird teams. Another thing that I learned is that Pokemon that can be played in multiple different ways have a huge advantage or are a lot stronger in the closed team sheet format. Normally with an open team sheet format, you only have to worry about the 4 moves that a Pokemon has on its moveset. But since all that is hidden, you now need to play around every single option that Pokemon could have. Take Talonflame for example. A standard set might look something like a Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, Tailwind, and maybe Will-O-Wisp. But Talonflame has other viable options as well, for example, Taunt. In open team sheet, you wouldn't have to worry about playing around Taunt if your opponent doesn't have it. But in the GC, you have to play as if your opponent could have it, even if they don't. If getting taunted here means that you lose the game, you might have to make an otherwise suboptimal play just to play around it, just in case. So what I found is that Pokemon with multiple viable abilities and playstyles are just really powerful. Pokemon like Annihilape could just bulk up, or they could click Final Gambit with a Scarf. Maushold could click Follow Me, Or it could just hit Population Bomb and knock out one of my Pokemon. I also found that Kommo was a very powerful Pokemon because it has multiple viable abilities and you don't know which one that it has until it's too late. Normally ones that I've seen on ladder are using Soundproof to be immune to moves like Hyper Voice, Snarl, and Clangorous Soul in the mirror. But I lost the game because I clicked Shadow Ball into a Kommo that ended up being bulletproof instead. Another thing that I learned is that there are some items that are just so much stronger when your opponent doesn't know you're holding them. Especially when there's so many items that don't really show themselves right away. Holding a Covert Cloak on a random Pokemon can give you a free turn against someone using Fake Out. Safety Goggles is also very strong if you just throw it onto a Pokemon that's normally weak to Spore. And in my opinion, the strongest item in the GC is the Choice Scarf. Normally, you know how fast your Pokemon are. You know what they can outspeed and what they can't. The Choice Scarf throws all of that out the window. Just being able to outspeed something that you're normally not able to, click a very powerful attack and then just knock something out, can honestly be game winning. How was I supposed to know that bro was running max speed Scarf Torkoal on a hard Trick Room team? It's something that I wish I took more advantage of this time around, and it's something that I will be doing next time. You also have to be very aware of the game state and just be able to infer what items your opponent's Pokemon could be holding, and then also make sure you're keeping track of the items that you've already confirmed. If you don't see Leftovers Recovery on your opponent's Volcarona and it Terra Grassed, then it's probably holding a Covert Cloak. I can't tell you how many times I saw Citrus Berry go off and then went, oh, I wonder what item this Pokemon has. Like I didn't just see it go off on my screen like 5 seconds ago. Or how many times I've clicked Fake Out twice into the same Pokemon, even though I already confirmed that I had Covert Cloak last time. When playing in an open team sheet format, you normally don't keep track of details like this because there's no real point because the items are already given to you on the sheet. But in closed team sheet, it's a very important skill to have. The next big takeaway from this weekend is the power of not only holding your Terra, but also playing with random ones, especially if they're defensive. Holding your Terra is usually better because now your opponent has to second guess every single move just because you have that Terra available. Especially since they don't know what type your Pokemon could turn into. And having defensive Terras in the GC is so powerful because there's really no way to play around them. Especially if it's not a common Terra on that Pokemon. And this is made even worse for types that have immunities like Steel, Ghost, Ground, Flying, Fairy, because suddenly a move that you thought would be pretty safe might just end up doing no damage and now you're walled. The last thing I learned from playing the GC this weekend is you want to make sure to play your games early and then camp. At least this time around, all the good players decided to hop on the last day and just overtake everybody. The games I played on Sunday were significantly harder than the games I played on Friday and Saturday. And that seemed to be true for pretty much all my friends and other people that I was seeing online. So if you ask me, the best strategy is to just play your first 30 games as soon as they open, get as high of a win rate as possible, and then just stop playing. Chances are that if you're able to get to around 1700 ELO, you'll probably get a good amount of points at the end of the event. And playing any amount of games on Sunday is more likely to harm your score than it is to help it. So in conclusion, we got absolutely destroyed this time around, but we learned some very valuable lessons that we're going to be able to take to the next GC and the ones that come after that. Next time, I'll make sure to prepare for the event the same way I do with any other. I'll also be looking into more unorthodox teams in Pokemon to try to catch people off guard. I'm also never playing on Sunday again. I learned that the hard way. Hopefully, thanks to this experience, I'll be able to earn some CP the next time around. And luckily, we still have a ton of chances since there's a GC scheduled basically every single month. And that's all for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like as it really does help out. And of course, if you want to follow me along for my journey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out whenever I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.